my name is Shalili Kittner and I'm a student at Lincoln High School. The topic that I chose is poverty. Imagine you're in a store and you want to buy something, but then you realize you don't have enough money. Now imagine this something was what you needed to survive. That's what it's like to live in poverty. 11.6% of Americans live in poverty. Poverty is a serious and common issue all throughout the world, not just in America. And to understand poverty, you have to understand the margins of poverty. First, what poverty is and how it's defined. Second, the thresholds of poverty. And third, the poverty cycle. The meaning of poverty is known, but not at a deeper level. To understand poverty at a deeper level, the World Vision Organization defines it as a lack of resources needed to survive, such as food, water, shelter, or medicine. And anybody who's lacking these things and can't afford them or doesn't have access to them is defined to be living in poverty. Secondly, Blantyre International University defines it as two different ways: relative poverty and absolute poverty. Relative poverty is poverty in relation to a different place, such as a different country or a different community. If this country has more than this country, then this country would be living in poverty relative to this country. Absolute poverty is the basic definition of a lack or withholding of basic necessities such as food, water, and shelter. Next, you have to understand the international poverty lines and what they mean. The census describes the international poverty lines as a measurement to find if somebody is by law living in poverty. To get these lines, you have to take the total income of your household divided by the threshold for the international poverty. You can find these on the census, and they are changing depending on how many people live in your house. Once you divide this total by the threshold, you get a ratio, and this ratio is either less than 1 or greater than 1. If it's greater than or equal to 1, you are not by law living in poverty, but if it's less than, you are by law living in poverty. The individual, a person over the age of 18 living on their own, has a poverty threshold of $14,880. This changes depending on their age. So if this person is older than 65 or 65, it's $14,040, and if this person is younger than 65 and the age of 18 or older, it's $15,230. The poverty thresholds are an international measurement to see if somebody is by law in poverty. They change depending on how many people live in your house and how old you are and everything like that. Next, you have to understand the poverty cycle and what it is. The World Vision Organization describes this cycle as not having enough money to send your children to school, meaning that these children don't have enough education to get themselves a job in the future to get themselves out of poverty. It also causes there to not be as much immediate medical attention because these people need to work hard for their money and they can't just leave to go to a medical center that is thousands of miles away. This causes them to not have great access to medical care or schooling, and many people fall deep into this poverty cycle. Maryville University describes this as something that a family has to be in for at least 3 generations. So if they're just first generation, they're not considered stuck in the poverty cycle and they can still get out. Maryville says very similar to what World Vision says, that it's not having enough money to get education. But they also describe it as something that you can fall into many different ways, such as economical and like location area, And the poverty cycle is very unforgiving and very hard to get out of. A lot of people fall into this cycle and never get out. Now that you understand a little bit more about poverty, what it means, the cycle, and the international thresholds, you understand that poverty is the lack or deprivation of things needed relative to a different society or just in your own. You understand what the international lines are, how to measure them, and what they mean, and you understand the poverty cycle and all of its unforgivingness. Next time that you're out and you see somebody on the street who's living in poverty or might not have a home, maybe you'll understand that this person is stuck in this poverty cycle, or maybe you'll find the kindness in your heart to help them out. Thank you.